It's been a crazy and joyous and unprecedented week for two small nonprofits in Maine. They learned they are getting big donations from Mackenzie Scott, who used to be married to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and is one of the wealthiest women in the world.
The Maine Expansion Arts Fund, which supports ethnic, indigenous, and rural art programs, will receive $2.5 million. 317 Maine Community Music Center in Yarmouth, which teaches, entertains, and empowers through their music, is getting $1.5 million.
It's safe to say both organizations were blown away by these donations. 317 Maine has never had anything like it.
This donation is definitely unique. To receive a one-time individual contribution of $1.5 million is breathtaking and something that is a first for us. And we are very grateful for that first.
Until the announcement was made, did you have any idea that this was in the works and might be coming?
It was a very, very, very low-key and tight-kept discussion. And so I wasn't even aware of it until just a few days ago. I think that is what makes this type of giving so unique, is the fact that it is very focused on the recipients. It's focused on the organizations and their work, not so much focused on who's giving and the accolades, but really about getting that money to where it needs to go.
317 Maine is an interesting mix of ace musicians who have played for decades, of beginners picking up an instrument for the first time, and everything in between. Some of the performers have appeared on 207. Three 317 Maine has about 30 instructors teaching 14 instruments to hundreds of students. It is committed to what it calls the power of music and its ability to entertain, empower, teach, comfort, and unite. Put this $1.5 million donation into perspective for us. For instance, roughly what is the annual budget right now of 317 Maine?
So our annual budget is just over $1 million. So a gift like this, to put it in those terms is a year of operating expenses for us, which is, like you said, that is a gift and something that's really unheard of.
What are the preliminary thoughts about how you might start to spend this money?
Absolutely. We're really looking at how to make the best use of this gift and having it, be such a surprise. Obviously, we want to put a lot of time and thought into how to really reach the disadvantaged in our communities, how to expand our reach, how to bring music to people whom have had obstacles prior to this. It really can give us the opportunity to be innovative. But really, it's looking at how to be healthy over the long term. How do we continue to provide programs? And I think, this is going to help us to demonstrate really what we're capable of doing.
The Maine Expansion Arts Fund, which is part of the Maine Community Foundation, is getting an even bigger check, $2.5 million, which came as a lightning bolt out of a clear blue sky.
We were completely surprised, just a fantastic surprise, of course, but no, we had no idea. This wasn't something we sought after, knew, none of it. It just sort of landed as the most generous gift.
$2.5 million. It's a lot of money. Has the fund ever received any gift that is even close to this in size before?
No, this is going to more than double the endowment. The current endowment for the Maine Expansion Arts Fund is about $1.1 million.
It's such a significant sum of money that obviously you're going to want to spend it with care and make sure you can have as much of an impact with it as possible. Right now, what are your thoughts on how you will put this money to use?
Again, because of the size of the fund, we have limited the grant awards to $5,000 a year. So I think we'll be able to increase, I'm hoping, maybe to $10,000, give people, the opportunity to ask for more money. I think we'll be able to stretch into some communities that we just have hesitated to do a lot of outreach with this fund, knowing that we already had these budget constraints. And that we know that Black, Indigenous, and communities of color have disproportionately been affected by the pandemic. We know that rural parts of Maine have disproportionately been negatively affected by the pandemic. We know that the arts and culture sector has negatively been affected by the pandemic. So all of this comes at such a wonderful time with the focus, this fund's focus on expanding access to arts and culture in rural Maine, particularly, ethnic, Indigenous communities of color.
Receiving a gift like this is not an everyday occurrence. Did everyone at the fund just kind of feel like, wow, we won the lottery?
Yeah, I think our heads are still spinning about it. It just, yeah. And especially, I think, after the year we've all been through, and we know, that nonprofits have been through, it really, really feels like a boost.
Again, the donations to the Maine Expansion Arts Fund and 317 Maine come from Mackenzie Scott and her husband Dan Jewett, who were married in March. Dan Jewett graduated from Oxford Hills High School in Western Maine. It's not known if he had any say in directing where any of these contributions would go, though.
That is really interesting, yeah, because I didn't know that about him. And so there were a couple of organizations in Maine that were the recipients.
Yeah,
That's great.
he was just a high school science teacher in Washington State when he met Mackenzie Scott. So he's not a guy who's motivated by money.
Yeah. Also worth noting, by the way, those donations are a mere fraction of what Scott and Jewett gave away this week. In all, they announced they are giving a total of $2.7 billion to 286 nonprofits. So that's huge. All right, when we come back,